everybody, it's Sophie and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and it's Monday night with Kansas City football and Kansas City baseball.
Sophie.
Yay!
Nobody gives a shit about Kansas City.
Well, somebody might.
Nobody gives a shit
Maybe one person.
About sports. Nobody gives a shit about you.
No, be quiet. Okay, so tonight we are reviewing...
Master
I'll
Chef.
buy it really late. No, we're
Master
not. We
Chef.
are reviewing the latest episode of The Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
Which is called Bliss. B-L-I-S-S. Which means like a quiet happiness.
No, it means the drug that's in the episode. So anyways.
Oh, is that what it's called? I couldn't
Oh
hear
my God.
I couldn't hear what they said.
Oh.
We went, no.
No.
Well,
No,
that makes sense too because of how they were showing it on the dance floor.
Oh God. Okay, so I personally, I really like this episode a lot. I felt like this was definitely an A+ episode. It completely turned around from last week. I mean, see, this is what I mean by, you can tell a B episode versus an A+ episode. Because this episode, like the whole way through, there's something to be entertained by. There's something new to learn. And it just moves the story forward in such a perfect way. And honestly, like, the performances in this episode, too. Like, there's this one scene near the end where, once again, the Penguin is with Victor and, was it like the bathroom or something? Or was it just like the back room of this club? And he has this little talk with him, and it's just, it's incredible. It's like, it's A+ perfect acting. And it's perfect. This is a perfect Penguin episode. It's a perfect TV episode. It's everything that you could want and more. And I just can't believe how good the show is. I mean, it might be better than Fallout. What do you think, Sophie?
Well, I would say it's simpler and there's fewer characters than Fallout.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that Fallout was more focused on comedy.
I don't know.
And also, well, it'll all depend on the finale. Because remember, I hated the Fallout finale. I thought it was a huge letdown. It was stupid and dumb, very predictable. And so it all depends on how the Penguin sticks the landing. So let's get into the episode. First off, now Sophie, she's a little slow. So she doesn't remember the 4-hour Batman movie. I do.
If you're talking about that one with Pattinson,
yeah,
that's
what this is connected to, Sophie.
I just did not like him at all.
That's what this is connected to.
I like him about as much as I like Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix is really good as Joker, Sophie.
Well, yeah, he is really good as Joker. But
then what are you saying?
Robert Pattinson is not good at Batman.
You just said you didn't like either of them.
Well, I don't like either one as a person or an actor.
I thought we didn't do personal attacks on this channel. Is that changed now?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just it's Robert Pattinson. The first time I saw him was in. I didn't watch Twilight, so I know he's a big Twilight.
Sophie,
I saw him in Harry Potter, and he had a very small role compared to all this stuff.
A simpleton,
and he was good in Harry Potter. He was a likable character who got murdered.
He is not Cedric Diggory anymore. Okay, forget about Cedric Diggory.
Well, that's the only part I have liked him in.
I disagree. But, he wasn't good as the Batman, but that's not...
God.
But, Sophie, do you acknowledge that this is connected to that Batman movie? I mean, do you realize that, or is that just flying over your head?
No. I don't really remember the Batman movie. I guess it's just because I didn't like Pattinson, and I just didn't want to watch. Because it was so dark. Everything was dark, and you could hardly even see what was going on.
Yeah.
They did it on purpose. It was like they were making some kind of a
artistic
weird, confusing
statement.
Dream sequence or something. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? What does this mean?
Well, before I get to my point, that's what's funny about the Penguin is that it's perfect. It's perfectly shot.
Clear.
You can see everything there. It's like the polar opposite of that crappy movie. But anyways, at the end of that movie, for people who,
forgot,
aren't
because
slow,
they hated that movie,
like Safi, remember that the Riddler, he set bombs around the city or something,
is that
so
what's
that
going on now?
the city would flood.
I was wondering what the hell.
That's what they're dealing with in the show, and so they showed where Victor was and his family before the flood and after.
Yeah.
And basically his whole family got killed. Him and his girlfriend survived because they did not stay for dinner. That's the only reason. And it's pretty sad, but it's also just great to just... we were talking about that last episode, and then boom, they give us that immediately. They give us all that information.
Well, what kills me, that just all started going on, and it didn't look like it fazed anybody.
What?
I mean, the guy, Victor, and his girlfriend, because you could see the horror, and you saw the bodies floating in the air, and the fire, and the explosions, and the water... all over, and then Penguin is just like, okay, now we got to get this deal done. It's like,
what?
It didn't impact. I mean,
wait, why are you talking about like the end of the episode versus the beginning?
No, this was in the middle.
No, but that was a hallucination, Safi, because he had some of that drug on accident or something.
I thought really his parents are dead, right?
What? But
his
Safi,
family's dead.
The Penguin was not in the opening sequence. I'm talking about the opening of the show.
Okay.
They showed a flashback of why are you trying to tell me that I didn't see what I just saw? Are you...
Go ahead, Marco. Just move on. It's late.
Safi's getting sick.
No, I'm tired.
No.
Okay, move on.
You move on. You just like completely like... I don't even know what you're talking about. Like the Penguin was like, oh, and the Penguin didn't even care about Victor's family getting exploded. Like the Penguin wasn't there in the opening of the episode. This is a flashback all about Victor. I just said it's all about Victor.
Okay.
This is about Victor.
Okay.
And we get to learn about him. We get to understand him more as a character, which I liked because he's a great character. And, it's funny. It's so funny because all these people, they say that, like, when we watch these movies with agendas that we're racist and we just don't like them because we're racist. But, like, you have this great character here, and I don't give a shit, like, what his race is or anything. And so I just don't understand, like, this double standard with people about, like, oh, well, what about this character? He's a great character. I wouldn't say he's the greatest character of the year or anything because we've only seen him for 3 episodes, but he's up there for sure. He's a lot better than Maximus from Fallout. Remember that guy, Safi, the bumbling idiot who got in the power armor and everything?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, then... basically, this whole episode is about the Penguin and Sophia teaming up so that they can distribute this drug, which is called Bliss. And the drug is kind of like something that the Scarecrow would use. And the Scarecrow is another Batman villain. And so a lot of people are thinking that this is going to tie in with Batman 2. And maybe that movie will have the Scarecrow in it because of... they're going to distribute it to Arkham Asylum, which this drug, it basically makes you go crazy. It gives you all these hallucinations and everything, and like Victor had, where he thought that his parents were getting killed again in this club, and it was like, what the hell is going on?
Well, Sophia, didn't she say they gave it to them in Arkham?
Yeah.
So that's where the knowledge of it for her started.
Yeah.
So she knows personally all about it.
Yeah, and something I loved about this episode, because this episode, it was a lot of Sophia, Penguin, and Victor. Just 3 of them together the whole episode. It's perfect from beginning to end because you got so many different dynamics here. You have the dynamic, and Safi doesn't even care.
No, I'm listening.
You have the dynamic between Victor and the Penguin, which is his girlfriend wants to go to California because there is just nothing. It's like in Florida. It's nothing. And so she wants to get out of there and go live a real life. And Victor can come with her. And then Victor is like, I don't know if I can leave. Like, this is like the stereotype. You're in a crime movie, you're the new guy and you're in this crime family and you're not allowed to leave. It's like an unspoken rule, like, oh, you want to quit? Well, pew, pew, pew.
I know. I thought he was going to lose his life. It looked close to me.
Yeah, and then you also have the dynamic between Victor and Sophia, which I thought it was fun seeing them interact with each other because she's just so...
She's very smart and intuitive, and she figures things out.
She's really good. She might even be better than the Penguin because she doesn't have to wear a fat suit to do a performance.
Well,
what do you think, Safi? I don't know. I don't know.
It's kind of like he's a football player. I mean, he puts on all this stuff, and he does things like he plays for the defense and catches interceptions and runs for a touchdown. That isn't usually what you expect from somebody like that with all that crap on.
Well, it's just really hard to say like which performance is better at this point. Like,
well, I know, but think about him though. He has changed his accent. He doesn't just have an American accent,
but
he has a mobster accent.
Sophia is perfect.
Well, they're both good, and
seeing them teamed up, and you also get this background that the Penguin used to be her driver, which I thought was interesting. And another thing in this episode is that once again you're put into the perspective of rooting for the Penguin because you're shown that like everyone thinks that he's a joke. They think of him as like the Penguin, as in like he's kind of like a jester for these crime families, even though he still is useful to them. And, a lot of people don't respect him. They don't like him. They think he's untrustworthy, which is that's actually an apt analysis.
Well, that part of it, I would be with them, but this other part where he's just a doofus and they're underestimating him.
Yeah, they really are. And so that's what I really like about the show is seeing these underdog characters. I mean, now even Sophia is an underdog.
Yes.
Because her family threatens her and says, if you don't go to Italy, we're going to kill you. And so she's screwed, basically. She has no choice but to work with the Penguin. And she's really like upset at the end because she's like, I don't even know how to trust you. Oh. And then right at the end, after that, they almost get killed, and then Victor returns after this whole thing we'll talk about, and the Penguin leaves her. So
and Victor said, "No, we have to get Sophia," and he said, "No, just leave her there."
Big mistake.
And I'm like, huh?
I don't know.
That really shocked me. I was kind of surprised about that.
That was a bad decision.
And Victor wanted to get her.
And the Penguin is going to regret that, but, I don't know. I'm saying, I mean, I don't understand it too, because maybe it's just because he knows that she doesn't have anyone else to turn to, so he knows that he can just do things like that and he won't have to suffer the consequences for now or something, but I didn't think that was a smart decision. But again,
I didn't either.
He's not a perfect character. He's a bad guy. And this is also, it's funny that we review this the same time that Joker 2 comes out, because just think about how bad this show would have been if it was like Joker 2.
Yeah. A circling the drain show.
Just think about, like, there is no Penguin, only Oz Cobb. Like, there is no Penguin. There's no such thing as a Penguin. I've never been the Penguin, ever.
That's just ridiculous. I mean,
just think about seeing the Penguin get gang raped by the mafia, and then the Penguin is, like, going after Sophia, and Sophia says, I don't give a shit about you because you're not the Penguin. Like, that would be, like, the worst show ever. And just like, but you can just see, like, these are two stories about a villain. A villainous character. The Penguin kills people. He deals drugs. He's not a good person. In fact, one could argue he is worse than Arthur Fleck. Because all Arthur Fleck did was kill, like, a handful of people?
That just isn't a valid argument. I mean,
But, Safi, the Penguin kills people all the time. He is in the business of killing people.
He's almost like
constantly.
Kind of like a hitman.
He deals drugs. He does all these things, and all the Joker did was just kill a handful of people. And yet, in these two separate things, you can see the difference in quality. And you can see, like, the Penguin, again, he's not a good person, but they're making you root for him, and they're making him the protagonist of the show. And we've had this problem before, too, in recent modern movies and TV shows. Vince Gilligan, at Better Call Saul, he made this shift where he completely changed the entire last season because he was upset that people sympathized with Jimmy and sympathized with Saul, and also that they formerly sympathized with Walter White in Breaking Bad. And it's like, what the fuck? This is the main character. You don't make a show with a main character that you're not supposed to like in some way. And the Penguin, this is a great example of, I mean, I just can't believe how good the show is. It's about a villain who's just kind of okay. I mean, you think about the Penguin, like, when has the Penguin ever really been, like, really cool like this? I don't think ever. Like, Burgess Meredith was funny.
Yeah.
He was good. The animated series Penguin was good.
Yeah.
Penguin in the Arkham games was okay. But he has never been the Penguin that he is in this show. And I really, I implore people not to watch Joker 2, because it will be the exact opposite experience that you're having watching this show. So let's talk about Victor and how there's this part in the episode where they're at this club and the Penguin says, "I'm really proud of you, Victor. I'm really proud of you." And I almost sound like the Penguin. Right, Safi?
Yeah.
And then Victor, he starts losing it. He starts screwing up, and he really wants to leave and go with his girlfriend, but he just doesn't know how to tell the Penguin. And, oh yeah, there was another scene I loved where they were in a restaurant together, and the Penguin humiliated this rude waiter because Victor stutters, and the waiter was, like, trying to rush him. And the Penguin said, "You didn't have to apologize to anybody. You make them wait." And so the Penguin catches Victor when he's about to leave. And he has this whole tirade against him, he
pulls his gun out at him.
Yeah, he points his gun at him, and he says, like...
that's why I thought he was dead.
And I really think the Penguin was lying in this scene.
He was, because, because of what happens later. Because
he said, you think that being with me is like having a gun to your head? And it's like, yeah, you're in a crime family. in the first episode, he was going to kill Victor after he helped him dispose of the body. So, yeah, it is like having a gun to your head, but maybe it either changed and the Penguin ended up really liking Victor and he didn't think of it that way, or he was just lying to him. And that's another thing that is good about this show, is that, look, we don't really know everything that the Penguin is planning. We don't really know, like, what is in his head, because earlier on, there was this moment that he had, probably my second favorite scene of the episode, where he and Sophia were talking to this guy. Was that what was that guy's name again? Like Tony Beatty or something? Tony Beatty?
Beatty.
The guy who was sleeping with the boss's wife.
I didn't know his name, but he kept saying Tony Beatty or somebody Beatty.
They had to get him to agree to do this deal, and there's this great scene where he was shit-talking the Penguin, and the Penguin, he wanted to kill him. And he definitely would have killed him.
Close to doing it.
but he still got him good with his gun and everything. But So I would give this episode an A+. I could probably go on and on about it, just talking about every little detail, because, again, this was a perfect episode. And then what ends up happening with Victor is he leaves and he watches his girlfriend leave, and he comes back to save him conveniently.
Well, and he didn't know what he was coming to. He had no idea, but he sees what's happening from afar in his car.
It was an accidental convenience. It's not. I'm not saying it's like a criticism, like it was like plot convenience, but it was just being at the right place and the right time, and so. Yeah, that was awesome. I would, again, A+. Safi, what would you give it? Would you have anything else to say?
No, so basically all that stuff with the explosions and the flooding, that was all in the head. That was all in memory.
In the club, when he was in the club.
That did happen in the club.
Well, Safi, there was no explosions in the club, but
outside.
At the beginning of the episode, that was all a flashback.
Oh, okay. See, I wasn't sure what was going on. I'm thinking, why doesn't anybody act like anything happened?
What?
That's because it was all flashback, and it wasn't happening. It already had happened.
No, in the club, it was a hallucination.
Oh, yeah. See, because they had this mushroom thing, and it was really weird, because what they would do is, it was in a little tiny tube containers, like a test tube, only it was small, and they put your finger in it, and they put it in their mouth, and then they'd all be getting high. But it was hard, like a hard red thing or something, and they would Victor actually dropped them all over the floor.
Yeah.
And he had that Penguin's, whatever you want to call her, his best friend, girl, whatever,
space friend.
She started. He was
from Your Honor.
Yeah, that's right. She started helping. She had to help him pick him up, but it was really good. I just don't know what's going to happen in the end. I mean, because what happened at the end of this episode, leaving Sophia behind? Well, she's there with. She's the gypsy woman from Grimm, and she was evil.
God, Safi?
Evil there.
Now you're calling her a name?
Well, that dark-haired woman with the accent, she's Iranian, and she was in the older one? Yes, the older lady.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sophia.
No, I'm talking about the gypsy. I call it, she was a gypsy woman, okay? And she's Iranian. And
so are you.
She was also in Bones, and she played the lab worker's boyfriend's mother.
Seems like you're obsessed with
this
woman.
Well, I know, it was just, but she was out for blood. She was ready to kill him.
Have we seen her before in the show? Because
she was there. Yeah, she's been there. She was there. I don't know if it was the last episode, maybe the episode before.
Okay.
But she was threatening then.
Oh, yeah.
And she was threatening here, and so I'm wondering what's going to be happening to Sophia, because how Victor saved the day was he saw something bad was going, and he knew it could end poorly.
He GTA 5'd it.
He got his car
and he ran them over.
And he ran into one of them. He smashed him against the building.
That's what I would have done.
And so I don't know.
Very smart.
As he did this, I don't know if he ran others over or what happened to them, because they don't really show them. They showed this guy.
I don't think he did. I think it was just the one guy.
So Sophia's there, vulnerable to whatever's going to happen. So I don't know. But the reason why they had this drug. This was kind of like a test run. And they needed a distributor. And so they called them the Triad, this Asian group. And so head of this Asian group, he was there at the club. So they kind of, by selling all these, whatever you want to call it, bliss to all these club goers, which almost everybody on the floor was taking it, looked like. They were showing him what a great high it was and how everybody was enjoying it, and they got him to do it. So they had him all set up.
Safi has switched into explain review mode.
Well, no, that's it. That's all I was going to say.
She was like, anyway, okay, now I will power on. Well, I remember the episode. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4.
But it was so anyway. They had this whole thing set up. So anyway, at the end of it was Sophia just being left to the wolves. I don't know the remaining wolves, the ones that are still alive.
Something that I think is that HBO on Twitter, or the Penguin Twitter, they should do official polls at the end of each episode.
And they've done that before with other shows. I've done that. I've participated.
Saying, what would you have done? Because I guarantee that 99% of people would have taken Sophia with them and not left her behind.
And Victor wanted to do it. Yeah, that's interesting. I have forgotten about that. They did that years ago. I think they might have done that for Grimm or something else I watched. But I remember they did do this. What you're saying.
Well, they did that with these video games, which Safi still hasn't played yet. The Telltale video games, which they actually have Batman versions of those games. And in those games, you make a lot of choices. And the choices have consequences, and you make a lot of tough decisions. And at the end of the game, you'll see what percentage of what is what people did. You'll see how many people chose to save that person versus that person, or whatever. And so I think that would be interesting for the Penguin.
Yeah, I wish they would do something like that. I haven't seen that in years. So I didn't think and I thought it was a good thing. I didn't even think. I just took it for granted. I thought they did that all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing is that back when they actually made good TV shows, well, the Penguin's good, but when they made real TV shows, they did a lot of things that they don't do now.
Yeah, and if they really got that instant feedback instead of getting it from fixed feedback, which I call skewed feedback, where people just say everything's perfect and never gives it any criticism, that would be a better way to work on their episodes and to make them better if they got that honest feedback.
They're actually doing a very weird fixed criticism now at movie studios. They just announced it. Movie studios are going to start getting groups of what they call super fans to watch movies before they're finished making them. Mm-hmm. And if the super fans decide that they don't like the things they did in the movie studios will just completely change the entire movie, since they're still in the middle of production and they can do that. What do you think of that, Safi?
No. Why can't they just have regular focus groups?
That's really bad.
Like for It's a Wonderful Life. I've already mentioned this because we had that one movie with the two endings, and
people have
was so unusual.
People have mentioned the problem with focus groups is that everyone will agree on the outcome. Everyone will decide that they all have the same opinion.
Well, maybe they think of themselves as a jury then, because you can't have...
That's what they end up doing.
Everybody, you have to have that unilateral assent, because if you don't, it's a hung jury. So yeah, I can get that, but
I wouldn't be like that. I mean,
well, unless the evidence is presented to you in the way that you understand how it is what everybody else thinks it is, then I can see why somebody would have an assenting opinion. But anyway, yeah, I can understand that, and that's too bad. It just seems like.
Well, actually, we should bring up they did not test screen Joker 2 at all.
Oh.
And they bragged about it.
Well, that is very
Joker
conceited.
2. Joker 2 has had the worst superhero movie opening in quite a while. It had a worse box office than Morbius. Remember that, Safi, with Jared Leto?
That thing was horrible.
This did worse than that, and they didn't test screen it. And to contrast with that, everyone loves the Penguin. Everyone. Like, I think that the Penguin has been the most popular show of the whole year. Fallout, I think, was a little less popular because you have people like other people who live here, and they don't like things based on video games. Whereas if you watch the Penguin, you can just look at the Penguin as if it's like a mafia show. You don't even have to look at Batman anything.
But that was silly about the video games thing, because if you have that kind of a closed mind, I don't know what's going to work for you. I don't know how everything's going to work for you, because...
Well, it's just that this is accessible. This show is accessible to people.
Yeah, well, that's because it
stands on its own.
Yes, and it isn't the typical... I mean, this is kind of like a mafia movie, and each episode, though, I just can't get over who's playing the Penguin, and what an outstanding job he's doing. I mean, just the making of the character, not even the acting and the whole scheme of the story, just making the makeup of the character, the look, the accent, the walk, everything. It's unbelievable. It's amazingly unbelievable.
It would be a great Halloween costume to do, is the Penguin.
I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know. Well, we saw it. You sent me like a YouTube video, but it wasn't the whole thing. It was like a short clip of what they do. It's kind of like an edited version.
Well, I wouldn't have to wear the bodysuit. The only problem I would have is I have a beard that I can't shave because of production. So, but other than that, I think the Penguin would be good. But anyway, Safi, do you have anything else to say about Joker 2 or anything? I mean, I don't. Joker 2 needs to be it needs to be erased from history. I really they purposefully made a bad product to piss people off, and I just can't see the benefit of that. The Penguin is not a good character, and they're not trying to punish us for liking the Penguin. So I don't understand why they punished us for liking Joker.
Well, I just don't know why they have to destroy him. I mean...
I don't either.
I guess he was put out of commission, and I'm trying to think in the cartoon.
In the cartoon...
We watched every episode, and I can't remember.
He was a full-on gangster.
Yes, he was.
He was the clown prince of crime.
He started out as a gangster, and then he turned into the...
And that's what I thought... That's what I thought that this would be, is that he would transform into that, maybe not at the same level, but he would be like a lesser version of him, maybe being propped up by all these crazy followers that he has.
And they show those in the movie. That's what I was saying, that there's glimpses
of what the movie could have been.
Yes, and of the real deal Gotham and the Joker, the way he was. And
that's another weird thing, is that, you know the Arkham Asylum, Safi?
Yeah.
That place that he was in Joker 2 was supposed to be Arkham Asylum.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like it, it was terrible. It didn't even look like it looked in the first movie either. It was just a complete disaster. I can't believe they would allow that to be released. It's unbelievable. And on the contrary, the Penguin's going to win a lot of awards. It's probably going to win every award ever, and it should.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we should wrap it up. It's really late.
Go ahead.
So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. But also, if you can, watch The Penguin. And right now, anyway, you won't be disappointed. And it's just amazing to know who Colin Farrell, right? I mean, I just can't get over it. See what Colin Farrell looks like and what he's been in. Just one thing, or just a picture, and look at this character and listen to him, and it will just freak you out. It will bowl you over. The metamorphosis that he made to become the Penguin is just amazing.
The metamorphosis.
Well, I mean, it's just amazing. It's amazing to me. So anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.